This is Optimal Living Daily Relationships, episode 50. Give Your Kids the Skills to Deal with Bullies, part 2, by Angela Bergman with FamilyOptimize.com. And I'm Joss Marie, your host and personal narrator right here on the Relationships edition of Optimal Living Daily. This is where I read to you every single weekday from some of the best relationship blogs on the planet. And today, we're actually featuring our 50th episode, which is such an accomplishment to say the least. So I just want to say thank you for all of your support along the way. Today's post about equipping our children with the proper skill sets to cope with bullies is by Angela Bergman with FamilyOptimize.com. And it's actually the second part of this post, so make sure and check out yesterday's episode first before listening to this one. That's episode 49. Also, support for Optimal Living Daily Relationships comes from Kind, makers of healthy and delicious snacks. Now you can try their sample box with 10 different Kind bars for just $10 with free shipping. That's a $20 value. For details, go to kindsnacks.com/living. And with that, let's hear today's post as we continue optimizing your life. Give Your Kids the Skills to Deal with Bullies, Part 2, by Angela Bergman with FamilyOptimize.com. When your child is the victim. By the time my son was in junior high, he was able to talk to me about some of the struggles he was dealing with at school. My first instinct was to rush to the teacher and talk to her about it, which I did, but things didn't change. So I took matters into my own hands. I decided to give my child skills he could use for the rest of his life. This is what I did to help my child deal with difficult people. Number 1, practice unconditional love and acceptance. Obviously, you do this already, but realize that if your child is the victim of bullying, their self-esteem is particularly low. It's your job to let them know you love them just the way they are. They don't need to be taller in order for you to love them. They don't need to be smarter. They don't need to lose the braces because you know they are an awesome person just the way they are. Make sure your kids know that they are 100% accepted by you and their worth is not determined by their appearance, performance, or intelligence. Number 2, practice listening. When my son was struggling with bullies in junior high, I made sure I listened to him. I didn't always have something useful to say, but I let him know that I wanted to hear what had happened to him. I used phrases like, "Ugh, that's not fair. That must have made you so mad. I know I would have felt so angry." He would tell me what he thought of doing to the bigger boys who teased him. I would nod my head and say, "Even though you were so angry, I'm glad you didn't resort to physical violence. I'm proud of you." Number 3, practice your word skills. My first instinct to help diffuse most tense situations is to use humor. So I gave my son a bunch of phrases he could use the next time someone bugged him about his height. He wrote down the phrases that worked best for him. We collected quotes on how awesome short people are. I pointed out to him all the advantages of being short. It seemed to work because over time, he came home with fewer stories of being teased and tortured. It's not that it never happened again. It just became more bearable because he was using his wit to throw the bullies off their usual game. Number 4, practice people skills at home. Of course, bullying can happen anywhere, even in the home. Obviously, a good parent doesn't intentionally bully their child, but our role as parents can be frustrating, and intimidation can seem like an easy way to get kids to do the things they need to do. However, raising kids should never require intimidation or abuse. Among my 5 children, there is a natural hierarchy from oldest to youngest. When the kids are home without parental supervision, their roles become more evident. The oldest child is in charge, and the younger ones are expected to listen to him. For the most part, it works quite well. Most of the problems arise when I'm at home, and by problems, I mean arguing, fighting, pinching, and name-calling. Usually, I let my kids work it out between themselves because home is the place to practice the people skills I have attempted to teach them. I tell my children that if they can get along with the people in their family, whom they live with all the time, they can get along with almost anyone. I believe that as parents, we are too quick to intervene in our children's disputes. That doesn't mean walking away and letting your kids hurt each other. It means trusting your kids to work things out on their own with the skills you've given them. Bullying isn't harmless. Although bullying is an age-old issue, we have learned in the last 40 years that it has become a much bigger problem than we first thought. Bullying is not harmless teasing. Bullying is intentional pain inflicted upon someone who is often smaller, weaker, and therefore less likely to do anything to stop the repeated verbal or physical attacks. Schools are actively addressing bullying, but the truth is, educating our children on how to handle bullies and difficult people begins at home. It's our job as parents to give our children first the confidence and then the skills they need to deal with any tormentor they'll encounter in their lifetime. Give them the tools and step back and let them practice. Trust them to figure things out. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled, Give Your Kids the Skills to Deal with Bullies by Angela Bergman with FamilyOptimize.com. It's always a good idea to make sure your kids have the necessary amount of energy they need to get through the day as well. Packing healthy snacks is a good place to start. Have you ever tried a Kind bar? If you're ready to try some tasty and healthy snacks, we've got a special deal for your family. For $10, you'll get a box with 10 Kind snacks inside, including free shipping. When you order the sample box, you'll also get to try Kind's Snack Club, where you'll receive monthly snacks at a discount, starting with $10 off your first Snack Club order. Most recently, I tried their peanut butter dark chocolate flavor and Each bite offered the perfect balance of savory peanuts covered in dark chocolate, with just the right amount of crunch. It was a party in my mouth, to say the least. To pick up your sample box, go to kindsnacks.com/living. That's KIND snacks.com/living. Health is super important to today's featured author, Angela Bergman, as well. She is a work-at-home mom who in her spare time writes fiction and offers fitness consultations to both pregnant and postpartum women. Thanks again to Angela for letting us share her content today. As parents, it can be super heartbreaking to see your child struggle with being bullied. Luckily, our son stays at home with me full-time right now and doesn't have to deal with this yet. And while I'd like to keep my son safe from bullies forever, I realize after reading this article that the best thing I can do is equip him with the proper skill sets to cope with bullies, if and when he ever encounters them. Likewise, it's super important to try and stop the bullying before it ever begins. And it's with this understanding that Lee and I strive every single day to teach our son by example the importance of being kind, compassionate, and tolerant of others, despite dissimilarities. On a lighter note, we're doing a book giveaway tonight at midnight, so make sure and join our mailing list before then to be entered in the raffle. You can join right at oldpodcast.com. Good luck. And that's 50 episodes down. Crazy, right? Thank you all so much for your support along the way. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again on Monday, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.